I'm going to take you through a presentation. It's meant to be an hour, it's probably longer, because I kind of shut up reading. So, that's me. You've got the card. Don't hesitate. If there's anything that you need to do with our course, drop me an email. If I can't answer it, I'll either forward your email to a colleague who can, or I'll ask the question and get back to you. And my colleague would be here, but Mum's elderly and not in the best of health, and she's got her at a hospital appointment today. So, sadly, but there you go. Just got me. So, we're a 3-year course with QTS. That's not the most common experience. We're the only Russell group that offers that. Other Russell groups will do a 4-year education, QTS. Other providers do a 3-year with QTS, and others again do a 4-year with QTS. The 3-year QTS means you've got your honours degree plus the professional qualification within the 3 years. That's the good bit. Means 1 year less fees, 1 year less accommodation. So, you know, fees at 9,250 and accommodation probably about another 9,000. You know, you're going to save yourself best part of £20,000. But the downside to that, it's a harder degree because it's 4 years into 3. Now, personally, I think that's beneficial. It's not full on, but it is quite intense. You've got more contact time than perhaps you would have on a 4-year course or on a 3-year course that didn't offer QTS. So you could, for instance, do education studies, and we offer education studies, and then bolt on a 4th year as a PGCE, which would give you the professional qualification. So you could do it at Durham a different way, but the quickest way is this. Typically 70, 75 young people. It varies. We've had as low in my time here as 65, as high as just over 100. It's supply and demand. Sometimes it's just there are more people want to do it. Sometimes it's the exams were a little bit easier this year. The COVID year, when there weren't exams at the A level, you know, we took in over 100 because the university was, these are the results that we've got. You know, how can we turn around and say, you know, you can't get in with A, B, 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 but you can. You know, so it's a bit flexible. The demographics, the majority of our young people are young people, 18 to 21. Not necessarily straight from post-16 education, but that's a fairly traditional route. But if 50% are within that age group, that means 50% are older. And indeed we have up to sort of, you know, very early 40s. You know, people who've had a job, had a career, a family, and now is a time to do something different. Again, demographically, about half are local to the northeast, but again that means that about half are not. So we've got Redcar, so that's local to the northeast, very local to the northeast, Liverpool. Well, that's quite a way distance from here, isn't it? Local to the northeast. So just within this room, that's a reasonably sort of, you know, sample of the course. We're pretty big on that criticality. We don't want you just to be a nodding dog that just soaks it up. What do you think about it? You know, if I said to you, You'll get better phonics results if you stand with your foot in a bucket of water. Just because Dave says it doesn't mean it's right. You know, there's an evidence base behind what we're telling you. But we don't want you just to say, oh, we've heard it, so it must be right. Wait, no, think about it. Ask questions about it. Because that's what teachers need to do. You know, if I can just use you as an example, visually, you know, that child's needs are not the same as that child's needs. So how do I meet his as opposed to hers? Got to get inside the whole teaching and learning agenda to meet the needs of each individual child. You can't do that if you've got a recipe card that says do this, do that, do that.
That critical thinking was like the biggest shift I found from moving from A-level to university.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah.
And then that's what we've just said about you're doing 4 years in 3. And the DFE, in its eternal wisdom, have increased 120 to 140 days as a minimum from September coming. I would argue as an ex-head teacher, I think that's good. The downside is that's taken 4 weeks of university teaching time out. But we'll replace that with the extra time in school, and you'll find out how in a wee while. Ofsted love us. I hope they will again when they come again. This was the last time they darkened our door. See, that's our teacher speaking, isn't it? I struggle a bit with relentless, but I get it. The first time I read that, I thought, oh, they think we've got hamsters on wheels. We never let them get off. No. We never lose sight of the fact our teacher's got to be the best it can be. Now, that doesn't mean you're super teacher every minute of every day, but it means you're always trying to be the best you can be. Because that's what the kids need. That's what they deserve. You know, they've got one chance in life to get a good education. You teach a bad lesson, that's gone. You can do it again, but only because something else falls off the table. Every lesson's got to count. So, in particular, that's what Ofsted liked about this. The training provided in university and schools will elaborate on that. That sets us a wee bit apart from the majority. High attainment against teacher standards, that's going to get you QTS. Come on, a little bit more about teacher standards. Partnership with schools. It was unique. We were the first provider to develop this way of working. We'll elaborate on that. But because of that partnership, there's a complementary training programme, the first bullet point, and the last 2 bullet points, because of that partnership, the leaders here and in our schools are like that. 2 of those school leaders sit on the School Events Management Committee, so they're impacting on policy. The school training centres, more of which later, attend meetings on a termly basis with university staff to look at how things are going. What's on the horizon? What do we need to be thinking about to change for next year? 120 days becomes 140. How do we deal with that? How do we replace the 20 days of taught time that we're not going to have? Jointly, that's resolved. And there is a shared ethos. The culture is high expectations, be the best we can be, but that's common in the schools and across the university. So that's sort of joined up thinking that underpins what we do. Ofsted really like that. You've done your homework. You sat here because you know Durham's highly ranked. I'm not going to say where you could have gone that isn't, because that would be unprofessional. But you've come to Durham because it's well regarded, I'm guessing. It's outstanding. You've got to work your socks off to get that. We're going to talk a lot more about the partnership, about the support, and about the course structure. The high rates of employment, basically, because we have high attainment against the teacher standards, that means our young people are employable, that means a lot of them end up teaching. So, we talked about this programme that's being jointly produced. A lot of what you do happens here. And when I say here, I mean here, in this building. The majority of your teaching will be taking place in this building. There are seminar rooms, there are teaching rooms, there's a lecture theatre. You may have sessions elsewhere, but not many. Be the odd session. PE will definitely not be here. That'll be down in Maiden Castle, because that's where the sports facilities are. This is a complementary curriculum. In essence, and this is a little bit simplistic, you're going to get the subject knowledge and the how to teach here. You're going to get the opportunity to put that into practice in the schools, and you're going to get the professional knowledge, things like what does a special needs code of practice actually look like in a school, what does it mean for the staff, what does it mean for the kids, how does the school deal with e-safety. So what actually does the head teacher do? I bet you wondered that sometimes. No, but during the part, how does each individual on the staff, at whatever level, impact upon what the kid ends up with? Because in a good school, everybody contributes to that. I've got to stress, this is what we're looking like now. It's not likely to change for 24-25 beyond minor tweaks. So please, if you come here and it changed, don't say, I told you wrongly. It's just, this is where we are now. So that's year 1, 2, 3. 4 modules in year 1 and in year 2, 3 in year 3. 2 core in year 1, 3 core in year 2, 3 core in year 3. That means no option. You do them or else. Not quite or else, but it's a little bit draconian. But there is no choice in the matter, you do them. In essence, the one on the left, shifting the focus, the 3 C's, the 3 C's, the 3 C's, in essence, teaching and learning through the lens of the core subjects. See, I had a pen and paper that would be for me. That's why I gave you the expensive pen and paper. Oh, now you're criticising the freebie.
I have tried.
Oh, another one. Oh, this one works. I'm only jesting. Right, moving on. So, essentially, teaching and learning through the lens of the core subject. Moving across, the evidence informed, teaching and learning through the lens of, what do we think? Teaching and learning through the lens of the foundation subject. So in essence, we're going to give you, in year 1, year 2, and into year 3 for the core, a boatload of subject knowledge and a lot of how to deliver that subject knowledge. In year 2, there is a third core module, the educational research, and that's essential. Maybe it's a little bit more boring. It didn't float my boat, but
Yeah,
absolutely essential, because that gives you the knowledge and the skills to successfully undertake a little bit of research, which is your dissertation.
yeah, I think it is sort of like, until you get it in the context of the dissertation, it feels a bit like,
It's more dry.
yeah, it's not dry, but then it's very useful, so.
Oh, absolutely essential. In year 3, you can see how the 3 C's and the future leaders is covering everything that's being done above it. So we're trying to give you the knowledge and skills to become a subject leader, because the reality is every primary teacher will be a subject leader. And if you're in a little primary school, maybe 3 or 4 people, teachers, you're probably going to be responsible for 3 or 4 areas of the curriculum. If you're in a big inner city school, 4 form entry, you might be responsible for 1 subject in 1 key stage. But that knowledge, those skills, in essence, are the knowledge and skills that are deployed as a head teacher. Albeit, to a higher level, I don't mean that to sound conceited, but to a higher level across a broader range of aspects of school life. But what we're giving you is a starter toolkit to move through your career, if that's what you wish to do. So we'll look at the options now. So coming down the screen are the 5 options. You choose 2 of them in year 1 and 1 in year 2. So the year 1 options within sociological and philosophical education are context of education, that's like the history and the philosophy, and construction of childhood. So you choose 1 of the middle row, 2 of the middle row in year 1, and 1 of the bottom row in year 2. So you have the option to go a little bit wider or a little bit deeper. So Charlotte?
Yeah, so I was more of a broader, I just picked what I was interested in, but I was not really thinking about it in depth of breadth, but a bit broader. I did the context of education, which is the highlight of my experience. That was the historical and philosophical ideas. That was absolutely fantastic. And I also did the international one, which was interesting, just to sort of look at things from a different aspect. I looked at, like, I wrote about Australian students, and yeah, that was really interesting. And then I did assessment in the second year, which was sort of very useful to draw on placement, because it's very practical, really linked well to the degree. But yeah, so I went for like the broad thing, and I think that's one of my highlights of the course. And even though you don't get that choice of third year, because you do still get that direction with your dissertation, it's still, you still have like that input and that ability to know directly where you want to go, which is really nice.
I think it's next year is the 4th year of these modules. Prior to that, there were no options. And certainly, when I was doing this, the first year when this was to be introduced, the young people who were helping as Charlotte is today, they were just envious of the thought that they could personalise their learning to pursue an interest.
It does seem to be like one of like people's favourite aspects.
Quite a common choice is within the psychological education and contemporary education. Look at child development and additional needs. But sadly, additional needs are on the increase, particularly emotional and mental well-being. And the reality is, and I don't mean this to be a political statement, as funding cuts hit nationally, the support systems to support the needs of these kids are diminishing, and that means that the schools have got to deal with them more. So I think a lot of our young people are seeing, because of what they're seeing in placement, I need to get really good on that. A bit of a rant from me. I know he's a clever man, but why, the attitude, those who can do and those who can't teach, I just think that's so wrong. You've probably heard that quote before. This is much better. Got to understand what it is you're doing. Why am I choosing to do this lesson using concrete apparatus when the next lesson I'm using a PowerPoint? There's got to be a reason behind that. So understand what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how it's going to impact upon the learning and the progress of each of the individual kids. That's really hard. You know, you might have 30 kids in your class, and they might all be year 3, but that's the only similarity. And trying to get every little person on board, learning, making progress is not easy. So you've got to know, what am I going to do that's going to make sure, as far as you can, if he gets it, and so does she, and her in the corner, and him over there, and the kiddie with additional needs, and the kiddie who's just parachuted in, who has barely any English. You can't do that if you've got a recipe card that says, this is how we teach English. So, our curriculum is called the Core Content Framework. That ought to be the curriculum wherever you go. It'll be different in terms of what it looks like in each individual session, but it should still be structured like that. So you're going to learn that, and you're going to learn how to. So there's the knowledge and there's the understanding. And linked to the 5 strands that are woven through the teacher standards. And teacher standards is a 2-page document. If you Google teacher standards, you'd get it. And that is the ultimate measure to decide whether or not you will be recommended for the award of QTS. And you have to maintain compliance with teacher standards all the way through your career. That makes it look like it's easy. It's not. It's really, really complex. They're interwoven because, say, the curriculum will be looking at planning and subject knowledge, but you can't plan that lesson if you don't know how you're going to assess it. You can't plan the lesson if you're not mindful of the behaviour in your classroom. So it's a bit like if you pull on a branch on a tree, the branch adjacent to it's going to wobble a wee bit because of the joint together. So it's interlinked, the curriculum's interlinked, and the curriculum you're going to get when you're in school that complements that is again interlinked. So it's a really well thought out, well structured programme that doesn't leave gaps. So we're going to teach you the core subjects, that first core module, and how to teach them. Then we're going to do all the others and how to teach them. We can't give you every bit of subject knowledge that covers all of the early years curriculum and all the national curriculum Key Stage 1, Key Stage 2. If that were the case, you would be at university till you're my age. We're giving you a starter kit, and we're giving you the knowledge of how to find out more and where to go to look for more. And we do it through a range of lectures, seminars, tutorials, workshops, and experiential visits. That doesn't happen all the time, everywhere. But if we're doing about local history, we'll take you to Beamish, open their museum.
Yeah, we got to go, we loved it, it's really fun.
Sorry, there are assessments. Charlotte will talk to you more about the assessments in a wee while. There's no exams. There were, there aren't. So because they're being phased out, I would strongly suspect they won't be reintroduced. Now, that probably suits most people. I know there are some people, Charlotte, you said you love exams.
Well, before uni, I actually loved exams. It was sort of, I was a bit reluctant, like it's putting me off the course a little bit, but actually it's suited me really well. Really enjoyed it.
So I think as far as we can, we could say that should you come in 24, 25, you wouldn't have an exam to face. And the way that the degree classification is calculated, year one is purely formative. All of the assignments are just to give you an indication of the level at which you were writing, the level of your performance. You get feedback, so you can work out, I'm averaging a 2-2, what do I need to make sure I don't drop to a third? What could I do that would lift me to a 2-1? But then in year 2 and year 3, all of the assignments, the marks are aggregated, and if you're averaging 70 or better, you'll be awarded a first class honours degree. 60 to 69 will give you a 2-1. 50 to 59 2-2, and 40 to 49 is third. The vast majority of our young people exit with 2-1s or firsts. That's not because the marking's easy. The marking's not easy at all. Very, very demanding. But it's testament to the quality of the young people who come on the course, and again, without conceit, the quality of the teaching that's provided. That's your degree. QTS is what happens in school, essentially. Minimum number of days, remember it's increasing to 140. When you're in school, we'll set you little tasks to do. So write up probably about 200, 250 words each, so that what you're doing has a specific focus. Particularly in year one, you'll do a lot of observation of what's happening. So, focused observation. How's the teacher managing behaviour? How's the teacher meeting the needs of the child on the autistic spectrum? How's the teacher managing behaviour?
Helps you to link as well that theory-based side that you made at uni and draw that into place and connect those.
And then we do it. We expect you to attend school, but we expect you to attend the modules as well. You know, how on earth can you honestly say, I'm equipped to be a good teacher if you've only attended one lecture out of two? If you've missed a third of your school days. So we do expect that sort of professionalism where people actually attend on time, ready, willing and prepared. Now it's not an easy degree. I was saying to this family, one of our current year ones was getting a bit depressed a couple of weeks before placement because she felt that the people she was living with in one of the halls of residence were just being quite dismissive about primary ed. It was sort of like, you're only working with little kids, how hard can that be? And the reality is it's really hard, but because it is hard, and because you've probably got more contact hours than most of the other courses, you'll average probably about 15, 16 contact hours a week. Some of the undergrads are 6 to 8 hours. And you've got a day in school as well. And you're expected to turn up at school looking like a teacher. So you can't turn up in your leggings and a t-shirt. And, she felt better after we talked, but there's a perception out there. Primary teaching is just a doddle. If it were, there wouldn't be courses to spend 3 years of your life learning how to do it. We'd just be asking you to pop off the checkout till for an hour or two, will you please? Those of you that had a wee bit of time in school, you know already how demanding it is. wonderful, but never easy. So we do recognise that, and we give a lot of support. Within the department, there's academic support. So the academic tutors, the people who mark your assignments. You submit a formative, you get feedback. A basic outline of what you think it is and what your evidence is. It then means you can go and submit your final piece of work with a degree of confidence that you're on the right lines. But again, you get feedback. There's an organisation within the university called DCAD, Durham Centre for Academic Development. You can have a one-on-one individual appointment with them. We'll go through your work, they'll advise you on how to improve your references and things like that.
I found one of the most beneficial things, like so helpful to get that individual feedback and they break it down like each 20%, that would be amazing.
And then there are what we call academic advisors. Sounds a bit highfalutin really, I'm one of them. And I'm not an academic. You know, my background is primary education, I'm a teacher. But an academic advisor is can be a bit of a, I suppose maybe a go-between, a bit of a neutral. A safe point of contact. You know, you might not be getting what your feedback's telling you from the science assignment. So you can just go bounce it about with your academic tutor. We also have pastoral support within the department. Every year group has a dedicated pastoral tutor. And we also provide professional support. So the support from ex-heads deputies like myself, I think there are 8 of us, I think. So when you're on placement, when you're applying for a job, you know, at this time of year, I can easily be looking at 4 or 5 job applications and just unpicking them. You know, because if you imagine 18 years headship, I've looked at a lot of job applications. And some people, they're saying the right thing, but they're not saying it in the right way. Or they're missing stuff out that just needs to be said, because it might appear, you know, blindingly obvious, but actually, you've got to see it. So we'll give you a load of professional guidance. Within the university as an overarching organisation, there's specialist support services like mental health, well-being, careers, disability. I'll just mention disability for an instance. Should anybody apply who's got a disability, and you know, not all disabilities are evident by looking at you, you can arrange a one-on-one appointment with somebody from the Disability Support Service. It's confidential. They'll produce a report which will outline your support needs. It's underpinned by the Disability Discrimination Act, so it's a legal document which has to be met, and then it's passed with your consent to the people who need to see it within the department. So we've had I can only tell you about the people I've worked with. A young man, qualified sports coach, he could have spotted a nit on a gnat, on a nut, on a tree. He couldn't read that pamphlet. So he was provided with enlarged font on any handout. He was provided with a taxi to take him to placement, because there was a risk that he wouldn't be able to read the bus number. He was PGCE, so PGCE students have to make their own way to transport. There's no help with transport. And when he was on his final placement, the university paid for a half-time teaching assistant to produce all of these resources. So he would say, I need this, and she would go away and make it. Now that's massive. You know, that was a 10-week placement, half-time TA, worked with a young lady who, it sounds bizarre, she had a nut allergy. But actually, if somebody was sitting in the back corner of that room eating a digestive biscuit, she'd be having an anaphylactic shock. It was that her allergy was that severe. She had an assistant dog with her that must have been able to sense the nut. And that assistance dog was in every session, in every school. Just what needs to happen to make you successful. So if anybody has a disability, don't hide it, just contact them. And then the colleges, talk more about them. Colleges definitely set Durham apart. You know, there's Lancaster, there's York. Forget Oxbridge because they're different college system. They teach in the colleges. Colleges. 17 in number. 16 take undergrads. Houston doesn't. Houston just postgrad. They vary in the location. If you've got the map, you can say there's what we call the Bailey colleges around the medieval city. Colleges like Hatfield, Johns, Castle, University College. We've got the Hill colleges, those up here. Mary's, Grey, Trev's. They're different in location, they're different in kind of feel.
Yeah, they are.
I kind of think of a better way to put it than feel.
The atmosphere is different.
Yeah. Some are quite formal, traditional, quite maybe almost austere in comparison. Some are very, very laid back and informal. Some are quite sporty, you know, where elite sport matters. Others, not at all. And much more art and music orientated.
Got some self-catered.
Yeah, some are self-catered, some are catered. Some have en-suite facilities, some don't.
Single room, sharing.
Yeah. So, if you accept an offer that may come your way, you apply for a college, you're not guaranteed your choice, you are guaranteed college accommodation in year one. I think the college is definitely a big, big plus.
Definitely one of our highlights.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, really good.
I mean, I trained here a long time ago, and I look back fondly on 4 years. Then this was a 4-year degree. I look back fondly on my time at B. That's a long, long time ago. And I still am in contact with a couple of the lads who I was friendly with then. And I mean, talking, I left in 1974. You know, you develop lifelong friendships.
I've made my best friends at college, definitely. And because you go to like the different like college events and fun events, it's just really nice.
Yeah.
I've made friends in the course as well, but best friends at college.
I think the other thing about the colleges is you've got a network within the department, whichever department, you've got a network, but then you go to your college and you might be living on a floor in a hall of residence and you might be the only education student on that floor. You might be the only one from your part of the UK, but you're going to mix with people from different academic disciplines, different parts of the country, different parts of the world. And actually that really does add to you as a young person. You know, the two people I'm still in contact with, one was from Chandler's Ford in Hampshire, just outside Southampton, and the other one was from Biggar in the Scottish borders. And that's 49 years ago. So, I definitely would say that the college system is a big, big plus. And as a parent, grandparent, my grandson, eldest grandson's at York now, just finishing his 3-year undergrad. We were chuffed that he went to a collegiate university because we knew that gave that extra level of companionship and support.
Yeah, it's a bit of a sense of belonging as well. I feel like you get a bit lost in a massive city if you don't have that sort of like more intimate environment.
But
That's what I
definitely.
found really.
And from a parent's point of view, it certainly gave his mum, and also a step removed, that sort of comfort that there'd be somebody who would look after Ben. He wouldn't just be a face in a crowd.
Yeah.
And he now has friends on his history course, but most of his friends, and certainly the the people he lives with, are from other courses. Right, over to you.
Yeah, so basically before I came to uni I didn't really know what to expect, didn't really know what it was going to be like. So just sort of a rundown of like what my life looks like, I guess. So with the course you have lectures, so where you have like the lecture delivering the content, you can ask questions. Some of them are more interactive, some of them are a bit more just delivery. Then alongside that you have seminars and preparation. So you might get like a pre-reading, some pre-session tasks, some like ideas to develop before you come, you bring them to the session. You get a chance to develop them with like group discussions. It's really nice like bounce your ideas off people. A bit more interactive than just sitting and listening, because sometimes that can be tricky to maintain your engagement with. So you get a few of them a week, but then I didn't realise before I came like how much time you spend like learning on your own. So like a lot of the time you are working on your own assignments. I spent a lot of the time sitting in the libraries, cafes, different places on campus, School of Education. You'll do your pre-reading, sort of get your assignment task, whatever that may be. Do your pre-reading. I always like you bounce your choose your ideas, choose who you want to focus on, depending on what the assignment is. Do your reading, and then like build your ideas, build it into a plan. Obviously you have that chance to submit the formative, and then you build that into the summative. You spend a lot of that time like independently working or in a group working, putting those assignments together. But it's actually something I've like really enjoyed a lot more than I expected. But yeah, I think as we said earlier, you get the formative and summative assignments. And the assignments are actually a lot more varied than I expected, so I sort of just thought it'd probably be a lot of essays, which part of it is. Sometimes you get like an essay title, sometimes you get like a really wide, broad option with your essay, and a lot of choice of where you want to direct it. But other things we've done are like video presentations. So there was one where we had to like pretend we were teaching a lesson and create like a presentation on that and then reflect on that. We've done academic posters, we've done group presentations, especially for formatives to like work together. We've done academic portfolios, so it's just been like a bit broader. Gives it a bit of variety, keeps it engaging, adds a bit of new challenge, which is good. And then alongside like the academic side of things, obviously we said you have placements, you have your serial days, you've got placement, but there's also like societies, so you get societies within your college sometimes, depending on what college you go to. You also get university-wide societies, so it's nice because it means like if you want to play like netball or something, but you're not like the most competitive, you can join in with college and it's quite chilled and just for fun. Or if you are really competitive, you want to get really into it, you can do it at the university level, and like auditions and stuff, and compete and stuff. But it just means everyone gets like a bit more chance to get involved. It's nice, I like it. And then alongside that is where you have like your college events, so like the social side of things, like most of them have like balls, like formal dinners, depending on where you go again, like bops, which are like dances and stuff, and like soirees. We've had like did loads of different stuff. We had our college day the other day where we just like sat outside and listened to music and stuff. So you get like that sort of social side of things with your college. But yeah, and obviously you have your placement side of things, but that's sort of like what my typical days look like. But a lot of time, a lot of reading, more reading than I expected. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's all right. I feel like it was so hard to imagine before you come to uni what it's actually like until you get there.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the pluses is definitely the variety of assignments. I teach on the evidence informed module, and the poster was free choice about which subject, which foundation subject, and which aspect of that foundation subject. And the poster is in essence, an academic essay with illustrations put
I think
into
it's a
it.
really useful preparation
Oh,
for
it
teachers
is,
as well,
yeah.
because that, like, those skills are obviously vital. And yes, some assignments you do get like a title, but a lot of them you get a lot of choice, which is really nice. I really enjoy it. Come back to me really interesting.
So, two of the history ones that really stood out this year, one was about Black history and all of the issues around teaching Black history, and one about LGBT plus history and how that should be taught. It was a music one, and I'm not musical at all. That was absolutely fascinating just to hear what this young person thought. They're anonymous, so you don't know whose piece of work you're reading. But what this young person thought about how and why music should be taught in a primary school. And you know, it was really, really quite thought-provoking. And the last one that really resonated was RE. And it was how you teach what could potentially be quite challenging about different ethnicities, cultures and faiths in a predominantly white Anglo-Saxon Protestant community. And you think, you know, these people have really unpicked the rationale underpinning this. Really good.
It just makes it a lot more enjoyable. You can choose what you write, like when you write about something you're passionate about, so you're really interested.
Definitely. Partnership. Remember how we work with our schools? So, it very much is a triangulation. We've talked about lectures, seminars, we've talked about university tutors, so people who support in school, all ex-heads or ex-deputies, and there's a partnership manager who oversees all of it. The school training centre are about the 12, 15-ish schools across the region that have opted in. They are the ones who meet regularly, termly at least, two of whose members sit on the management committee. They nominate a member of their school staff to be the school training centre coordinator. They're probably the person who'll know you best as a young teacher. They'll arrange where you go on placement. They'll observe you teach. So will the university tutors, possibly. Normally the university tutors only go to say if there's a problem or if somebody's absolutely blowing people's socks off. It's a bit more of a quality assurance type of role. STCC will also write the vast majority of your reference. The cluster school, they're a group of schools around the school training centre. So if you think of the school training centre as the sun in the solar system, these are the planets that surround it. And they have recruited those schools because they've got that local link with them. And they place students there. And they have what we call class-based tutors, a class teacher, who you go to person on a daily basis. They're going to assist you with planning, resourcing, prep, behaviour management, meeting additional needs, school routines, all that sort of stuff. So those are the three we've talked about.
I found my class-based tutors so helpful.
Oh,
Really
yeah.
supportive. Learned so much from them. Really, really great.
Teachers can become a little bit paternalistic to their class. Can be quite protective of them. And actually it's quite a big deal to sort of hand your class, your babies, over to somebody else. But the vast majority, and I do mean very, very much the vast majority, they're really committed. They just want the young people we put there to be the best they can be, but to be the best for their class.
Yeah.
So, what does it mean for you? Very cool. Apologies, I didn't do this. I wish I could, I don't know how to do it, but apparently he's clinging onto a train. And I get that one. So, you're going to have to travel to school. If you drive and have a car, you'll be given priority for a college parking permit. If you don't, there's a good public transport network within the county. We would ask that you tell us your term time living address. Not so that we put round the corner. Just so we know where you are, so we know where it's reasonable to expect that you can travel to. And if your journey would be longer, more expensive than it would normally be to go to uni, we'll assist with the travel. Now that's as it is now. It's not likely to change because it's been like that since Adam was a boy, but I couldn't absolutely guarantee that'll be the case in 2024-25. It's highly likely, but couldn't guarantee. That's broadly the geographical area that we cover. So it's up to Wearside and down into North Yorkshire. Each of those funny little flags is a school that has hosted our trainees in the last 2 or 3 years. So you can see we're going right the way up to Teesdale, past Barnard Castle, for those of you that are local. By car that would be about 45 minutes to an hour from Durham. But if that young person was living nearer there, then it would make sense for them to travel there. But if somebody was living in Sunderland, as some of our young people do, there's no way we'd send them to Barnard Castle. This is still in draft. It's been worked out by the university and our school partners, but it has to be ratified, and it won't be ratified until Tuesday. Because this is new, it's not likely to change for 2024-25. It may get tweaked, but in essence the broad structure isn't likely to differ very much. So you have serial days, 1 day a week in school, learning how to become a teacher. What it's like this side of the class as opposed to that side. And you have a 6-week teaching placement in early years in term 3. There too, you have intensive placement days, same as a serial day, but more intensive. And a 4-week intensive placement. The intensive nature of it is because you're focusing on a specific aspect of teaching and learning each week. So it's not just that global overview, you're drilling down. Then you've got a 6-week teaching placement in either Key Stage 1 or Key Stage 2. And then in Year 3, 10-week teaching placement. And the 6-week wider professional. That's whole school based, not class based. That's new this year. And that's about becoming used to being a member of the whole school community. You can end up being, if you're not careful, you can almost end up being a little bit isolated in your own class. You don't see other people, you don't talk to other people. And this is about, but you're going to be a member of the school community, so it's about, you might have the opportunity to shadow a subject leader. You might have the opportunity to contribute to a end of year parents open evening. You might have the opportunity to help organise an event like an end of year concert, or that would suit you, wouldn't it? Or a sports day, or take part on a residential. So just that sort of step between just the classroom to the wider school community before you enter your teaching career. So Year 1, this is pretty much unique to Durham, paired. You and another Year 1 student will be paired in a class. Now that's as easy an introduction to being a teacher as it could be. Still hard, but as easy as it can be. You've got that person to share the ideas, share the workload, and you're responsible between you for about 50% of the teaching.
Nice emotional support as well, not
Oh,
just be the only one. Just
absolutely.
have that reassurance if you're like stressed and
Yeah.
worried.
Yeah. That's a big plus. A couple of years ago, there was a man and his daughter sitting where you guys, well not where you guys are because we were over the river, but he said he wished his older daughter had that. She trained to teach, she was loving it, but he said that would have made such a difference. So I do think that's a big plus. The school experiences increase in duration, intensity and expectation. The more experienced you become, the more we expect of you. But that's as it is in all walks of life. Year 2, you're on your own, and you've got more teaching to do. Year 3, again you're on your own, and again more teaching. 80% is what you would teach as an early careers teacher. So it's about giving you plenty of time to demonstrate your competence to be recommended to the audit QTS, but also to enable you just to sort of know what it's doing to you. You know, teaching's phenomenal. You know, if it's for you, it's phenomenal. Still is for me, you know, but it is demanding. Physically and emotionally and intellectually. And that gives you a little bit of a sense, because you're teaching for 10 weeks, gives you just a little bit of a sense of how to manage yourself, so you're still on top form on the last day of the placement. Because that's what the kids in your class need. So, this is Ofsted speak. You're going to plan, deliver, and you're going to assess. And Ofsted's the 3 I's: intent, implement, and aim. You're going to complete those activities we talked about, and you're going to be professional. You're going to look and sound and act like a teacher. We're not saying you can't have body art. But what we are saying is maybe the kids don't need to see it. We're not saying you can't have facial piercings. But maybe you take one out your eyebrow when you're going into school. You might be a paid up member of the Labour Party, but you can't wear the pin badge. Because you're a role model. So the serial day is really just giving you that chance just to become accustomed to being this side of the classroom.